Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our ADLC workshop on how to write a good course outline. I'm Kaki from the Department of Chinese and also the chair of QAC starting this semester. So my goal today is to finish this workshop within an hour. I assume there won't be a objection of us going home earlier, right? I'll keep it brief. And in this workshop, I'm going to introduce some resources that you may refer to when you prepare a new course or if you want to make changes to your current courses. Everything is on our website, in QAC website. And also I'll explain step by step to our template and guidelines on the course outline, which looks like this. So if you plan to submit a new course to QAC in the near future, or if you want to make changes to your courses or program, these will be very useful for you. So to start off, let me introduce our website. Anyone here have been to the QAC website? I assume no. So it's not a very popular website, but everything you need is actually on it. So every time when you want to locate, say, for example, the QA manual, the OBTL handbook, or all the proposals, templates, and course outline templates is on the website. So you may just Google QAC and HKSYU, then you can locate the website. When you click into the website, there are pages that only QAC member can view, for example, our agendas and minutes. And there are also these parts where all SYU members can download the file. So today we're going to utilize this thing. It's called Template of Proposal on New Electives or Changes in Course Outline. When you click on it, it's a zip file. And then you can download the zip file. Inside it, it looks like this. There are a checklist from QAC. That is when you prepare new courses, you can use the list to help you to check if everything in your course are up to standard to the OBTL handbook. And there are also a template for proposal. If, unfortunately, you have to prepare a proposal to QAC, you can make a reference to this file. Is totally empty and you can fill in all the details you need. And then, so if you have to submit a proposal to QAC and you're not sure what to put in the proposal or whether or not this is correct, please consult Emmy or me and I can give you hands-on explanation on top of the template. So besides the proposal template, there are two sets of course outline, which is a bit complicated. I will explain the differences between indicative course outline and operational course outline. We'll start with the operation course outline, which is in fact the original old version of course outline that we have all been using. It's the full version of the course outline. So on top of the full version of course outline, starting this year, we introduced the indicative version of courses, which is, you may call it a shortened version of course outline. The main difference is the teaching schedule. In the indicative version, there will be no teaching schedule. You don't have to list out weekly topics. You don't have to list out weekly readings, which consist of the main part of course outline before, but now these are not needed. I will also go into details later. So you may refer to the file. And okay, these are the resources we're going to use today, the website, the zip file I just mentioned, the OBTL handbook, and the QA manual. So the first part, we're going to look at the course outline template together. In the zip file, inside either indicative courses or operational courses, you will find two sets of files. For example, in operational course outline, there is a template in Chinese and a template in English. So for colleagues in Chinese department, or if you want to prepare a GE courses in Chinese, you can use the Chinese template. And for all other colleagues, you may refer to the English template. The template is a Word file that you may directly edit on. And the PDF file is a note for preparation that looks like this. This is the template, the course outline. Please use the standard and latest template when you submit to us to avoid any inconsistencies in the format. In the first page of the course outline, these are the basic informations. So if you are writing a new course or you're changing anything on it, you should consult your head or your QA representative if you're not sure about any of these items. So, and under that, there are course aims, silos, TLAs, and AT, etc. I'm going to talk a little bit about, first of all, course aims. course aims should describe what your course is going to do, your training goal, and what students can learn in your course. They should not be, for example, ATs. Don't put ATs in there. And it should not be, especially should not be a detailed explanation of your teaching content. Because if you change anything in the course aims, you have to come back to us. Don't come back to us. So keep the course aim brief. And for example, you can describe a broad direction of what the course is going to teach, some flexible directions that you are sure you're going to stay on the track for the rest of your life. If so, you can put it into course aims. It should be a few lines. It shouldn't be too short or too long. So everything you wrote down in the course aims will be fixed. And if you change even a comma or a period in the course aims, you have to come back to QAC. So make sure everything you put in there is your 100% of it. It won't be changes. Okay, so don't go into details. Say, for example, you're going to develop a course on, especially like AI or technologies that are going to update like every month. Don't put the names in the course aims. And if your course are going to map with, say, for example, some professional bodies outside, even if that professional bodies change their name, you have to change the course aim too. So don't put their names in it. Don't put anything that might change in the course aims. So that's course aims. And under that is the silos. Every time when we review courses in the QAC, the most problematic part is, first of all, the silos, especially the verb, and the second part is the ATs. So those are the two parts I'm going to explain in details. For the silos, we may refer to the OBTL handbook. It's a very large handbook. So when you download the file, open chapter 3, and you will find a very comprehensive explanation on how to write good silos. We can scroll down, and look at the examples. On page 8, there are a lot of verbs you can choose from. So to make it really simple, OBTL standard of silos is all about the verbs. Use acceptable verbs. So these are some of the examples that you may use in your course, and also some real silos that we have extracted from course outlines in all departments. So you may refer to the relevant disciplines that you're developing. And also there are bilingual examples. So excellent, you can look at what kind of verbs is acceptable. The basic principle of OBTL is the silo should be measurable. So there are some verbs that are definitely not measurable. Say, for example, understanding. Understand is not measurable, and etc. So these are acceptable verbs. They should be measurable. They should be action verb that the student will do this thing and then it will yield an outcome that you can measure. That's the whole principle of OBTL. So based on the level of cognitive behaviors, starting from the most basic one is to remember something or to understand something. These are some of the synonyms that you can use besides understand. Okay, these are all like the same meaning of understand, but don't use understand. And under that comprehension, it also it will advance to like evaluating or creating stuff. So these are all the verbs you can use along with a lot of examples. And under that, on page 10 of OBTL handbook, there are common mistakes. Verbs that are not acceptable, say, for example, understand, we just mentioned, and also like compound verb, demonstrate the ability to do something. Just skip the first part. Actually do that thing. Don't demonstrate the ability to analyze that topic. Just analyze the topic, because analyze is acceptable, but demonstrate the ability is too lengthy and too complicated. So make sure your silos is precise and accurate. You may also refer to the table. This is chapter 3. And under that, there are also another thing that I want to strongly recommend to you is in Appendix 5. So under the document, there are a lot of appendix. You may refer to Appendix 5. This is the chart I always refer to when I look at the course outline. So when you submit course outline to me, I look at the same chart. So I'm going to recommend this to you. The chart is not made by us. It's a public knowledge made by the Blooms, which are, well, it has a bit of years. I think it's come from 10 or 20 years ago when the OBTL principle came out. But this is the chart that like most people are using. So you may also refer to this colorful light bulb and pick any of the verb that might be suitable to your course. This is on page 48 of the OBTL handbook. So just pick any one of them. Any one of them is acceptable verb for your silos. So these are like the most important part of the silos is the verb. And besides of that, just make sure your silos is concise, accurate, as in your silo should not be a paragraph. It should be like one sentence to analyze something, to create something, to criticize something, etc. And try to keep the silo sentence simple. Don't put like 2 or 3 verbs into one sentence, because if you do, it should be 2 or 3 silos instead of one. So that's the silos. To summarize it, is the verb. It's all about the verb. So under that, the template will go into TLAs, which usually will be problem-free because we are all teachers and you would know what you want to do in the class. The TLAs are all activities you're going to do in the class. So for example, lectures, you may have tutorials, you may have group discussion, you may have like video or film or demonstration, or you may have field trip, etc. Anything you want to put in the course that you would do with the students, put it in the TLAs. And besides of the name of TLAs, please provide at least like 1 or 2 sentences as in what actually you would do for that TLA. So that should be fine. So under that is the second most problematic part of the course line is the ATs. For this, we will look at OBTL Handbook chapter, what's that? Chapter 5. So to design an assessment task, you may refer to some of the examples we give here. Say, for example, most common are class participation and then a group presentation, and under that maybe some written essays, group projects, or other kind of assignments that are like common in your department. So you may choose any assignments. And you may also consider if you want a final examination in your course. We are fine with either way. You can go with 100% continuous assessment, or you may adopt the final examination. But if you choose, either way you choose, you have to provide a rationale as to why. Like why you choose to keep the examination, because that would serve the goal of the course of blah, 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 etc. Or we will not have the examination because the course is going to train students, say, for example, in a continuous way over the whole semester, etc. Provide rationale for every issues and it will be fine with us. So these are some of the examples you may consider. And besides the ATs, there are some things I wanted to look at with together. On paragraph 5.3, there are examples of the AT table. These are just the sample. You may choose any other kind of assessment task, but we will recommend not to overburden the student and yourself. So don't put too many ATs in there. The suitable workload would be like 3 to 5 ATs in a course. So if you have more than 5 ATs, it will usually be considered like too hardworking. Yes, and try to avoid like compound AT, say, for example, in 82 group presentation. On top of 10% of oral presentation, I have another 5% of outline, and then another 5% of peer review, and then another 5% of the written reflection of the group presentation. That would not be 1 AT. It's actually 3 ATs. So try to keep it simple and consider the workload of the students and yourself and make a reasonable design of the assessment tasks. So under the this part, there are a few things that we have to take note of. First of all, provide some description to your assessment task, like what the assessment task is, what exactly you're going to do for that task. And if it's a written assignment, please briefly design the length, say, for example, 1,000 words, 2,000 words. And also the approximate due date. And we understand if you have to change the due date like every semester, it's okay. Just provide a approximate due date. Say, for example, week 15 or week 13. That will be enough for us. And when you actually offer the course to the students, we trust that our colleagues will provide actual and accurate assignment guidelines to the students, like from the start of every semester. So this information is just for the QAC to assess if you distribute, say, for example, the due date reasonably, that they are not crammed in the last week of the semester. So for the length, the same. If you want to change the length after you got past the QAZ, you are free to do so. You don't have to come back for us. If you want to change 1,000 words to 2,000 words, it's okay. So just give us a proximate length, and so that way we can assess if you have designed a reasonable workload for the students. That's the whole purpose of these description. And then under that is the weighting of ATs. There are a few rule of thumbs when we approve courses. First of all, the class participation is usually 10%. Okay. It's a recommended weighting if you note the wording. So if you want to exceed 10%, you can do so, but you have to provide a very strong argument. Say, for example, why this course have 20% of class participation. They will usually need to do something for that 20%, if it's 20%. So if you don't want to go into that trouble, just keep 10%, is okay. So that's class participation. And I've also seen courses without class participation. It's not a necessary element. So you can go without it. But if you want to go beyond 10%, you have to support yourself like with really strong argument in your proposal. And that's the class participation. And after that is a group presentation. Like a lot of courses have group presentations. You can go without it. Group presentation is not a necessary element, but we will strongly suggest so because students nowadays are not very good at working with other humans. So if you can train them to work with humans, it's a good training for them, like to learn peer collaboration, etc. So if you want to put in group work, for example, a presentation, make sure it's from 20% to 40%. Again, it's a recommended range. If it's less than 20%, it will usually be too light, as in students have to do a lot of things for too little marks. So that's why 20%. If it's over 40%, again, you have to provide really strong argument why the course have, say, for example, 50% of group project. Unless the course like the content or the training goal is solely about group work. For example, there is one capstone course from one department that are actually a group research project. So the whole course is a group assessment task. Unless so if you have really strong argument and rationale for the design, you may exceed 40%. But otherwise, we suggest you to stay within the recommended range, which is a range we deem reasonable for students, 20 to 40%. And another thing is about formative and summative assessment. Again, whether you want to keep examination or you want to go to 100% continuous assessment. Either way is fine, just provide a reasonable explanation behind your design. So if you want to keep the examination, please note that for examination, it should not be less than 40% and it should not be over 50%. So it's either 40% or 50%. If it's less than 40%, it's not an examination, it's a quiz or a test. Just use a different name. If it's like 20% of thing, it should be a quiz or a test. So if you want to name it examination, it should be a proper examination that students have to sit in the examination hall and do it in front of registry staff, visualization, etc. So that's the thing about examination. If you decide to put in examination, please describe the modes of your examination. Here, for example, either the examination is open book or closed book, how many hours, and if possible, provide some guidelines on the exam paper. If it's MC, short answers, essay question, etc., so that students would know what they should expect in the examination. So these are about the ATs. Any questions so far about ATs? Or yes? Very good question. You may need to ask Professor Tan for that. But yes, we provide the template to everyone. So it should be more or less look like this. But I believe the graduate school have their own set of rubrics. The rubrics are different, definitely. But other parts, I'm not sure. Please ask Prof. Tan. Any other question about ATs, etc.? So that's about ATs. And under that, we'll go back to the template. These are usually okay. The mapping of silos, TLAs, and ATs. So the only thing to remind you of is don't map everything with everything. Say silo 1 to 4 to TLAs 1 to 4 to ATs 1 to 4. That is not a mapping. It is a no-brainer. You just map everything with everything. So try to make it look like you have put some consideration into the mapping. Okay, so that's the table. Under that is the notional learning hours and QF credits. The only thing to note of this part is that these items here should match the thing you listed in the ATs. So sometimes you change the AT design, but then you forgot to change the QF table. That will lead to like discrepancies. Just double check the two tables look the same. If you design like say for example 3 ATs, they should be here in the self-study hours. The contact hours means the hours when a student can see you. So it's either in-class lecture or in-class tutorial or the office hour you provide to them like every week. There are detailed stipulation about the notional learning hours distribution. So usually it's 40 hours of contact hours and then 80 hours of self-study hours. Inside that, you can distribute anything you like. Say 80 hours of self-study should distribute to revision or all the 80s you have listed out above. And 40 plus 80 is 120 NLH for each 3 credit course. If that course is not 3 credit, it should not be. It should be less than 120 hours. So for any question about NLH and QF, please refer to the qualification framework documents that published by the HAC AAVQ. You can find that on their website. So that's the table. And under that, there comes the part where the indicative course outline comes in. This is what the indicative course outline looks like. If you download the zip file I just mentioned, inside that we have already provide indicative course outline. There is so far only the English version. We're going to supply a Chinese version soon within this year. So for now, please look at the English version. Again, there is a doc file of template that you can edit directly on and notes for preparing courses in the indicative version. So the main differences is here, the course outline. Again, you don't need weekly topics. You don't have to tell us week 1, I'm going to do introduction. Week 2, I'm going to teach topic 1. We don't need to know that anymore. And then no weekly topics and no weekly readings. Everything will be listed in the references or the textbook, etc. So the only thing you need to tell us is the topics and the subtopics that you are going to cover in your course. The whole idea is that this indicative version is solely for the purpose of QAC. And if you need to go through PVRC in a department for the PVRC, and if you have to go to VQ for the VQ. So all of these are not for students and not for your external examiner in your department. It's only for QAC, PVRC, or VQ. That way, when we or the VQ or the PVRC look at your course outline, they won't know too much details. That way, they can challenge you. For example, the reading is too long or too short, or why did you cover this topic instead of that topic? It will also leave you some leeway if, say, for example, the course designed by you, but later on you pass it on to another colleagues. They might want to teach something new that you didn't include in the course. If you put topics and subtopics, usually they are relatively broad, and you can allow some rooms of wriggling or adjustment every year. That is the whole idea of indicative course outline. So when you submit the course to us in QAC from last semester on, please use the indicative version that would look like this. The topics, it should be like 3 to 5, not too little and not too many. And under that, please also list out some subtopics that we may know a bit more about what you plan to teach in the course. So it's topics and subtopics in this table. Yes. You may just leave it introduction or introduction to, I don't know, data science. Just some kind of description. And this table should be short because you don't need to put in anything under topics and subtopics. Okay, any question about indicative version? Mm. We can ask, but for now, the indicative version is for QAC, PVLC, and VQ. If you submit the course outline to the registry every semester, it should be the operational full version of course outline. The full version, complete original version. It should submit to the registry every year. It should be the one you post on Moodle for your student. It should be the one you send out to the EEA, EPA, etc. Yes, good. Yeah. We will explore the possibility. Yes, that's the indicative version. So you may consult our template that look like this. So in this template, there are a few things we need to update. This is wrong. Not prepared, but it should be a course instructor that who is teaching the course. If you don't know who is going to teach the course, for now, say for example, it's a new program and no one is teaching it, just put down your department name. You can fill in the college name later. And this should be course instructor. We're going to correct it later. Yeah. And this first place difference. Second place is here, the table we just look at. So you can edit on the DOC file about 5 to 6 broad topics under that some subtopics so we would understand what you're going to teach in it. And then the last place we updated in the indicative version is the academic honesty. Where is it? Here. There are two places we updated. The first thing is that this red line we highlighted here. The old version says something like the instructor will not accept resubmission. But in fact, for the university policy, it's within your rights to decide whether you want to accept resubmission from the student or not. So we just changed the wording to align with the university policy. And the second place is AI. We throw in using AI generated answers is the same as plagiarism. So if you don't want to check that, just copy and paste the whole thing and replace the academic honesty section in your own course. That would be okay. So if you want to know more about plagiarism, AI policy, and say, for example, disciplinary procedure, etc., everything is on the tutor website. It's tldo.hksyu.edu. And on it, we will have useful resources for teachers. There are procedures of how to handle suspected cases in your department and how to handle AI plagiarism issue, etc. We have policies and guidelines and everything on the website. So you can consult the website. And these are everything we need to go through about the indicative version. So from now on, even though, like for example, you have to propose some changes to the course, you have to use the indicative version too. New courses should be indicative version. Any changes to the courses that need to come through QAC will be indicative version too. So from now on, you have to prepare 2 set of course outline. The complete set will be for daily operation. It will distribute you to the EE, to the EPA of your department. You will distribute it to your student, post it on the Moodle, submit it to the registry, etc. And the indicative version will be for QAC's review, PVRC, or VQ's review only. So any changes from now on, you will need to prepare 2 sets of course outline. Any question about indicative version? If it's okay, the last part of the template is the rubrics. Above the rubrics, we also have a whole chapter in the OBTL handbooks about the rubrics. Where are they? It should be the last part of the assessment issues, and we also have a few appendix about the rubrics. So the rule of thumb is that your rubrics should adopt one style. You either use holistic rubrics or analytic rubrics. Either way is fine as far as it is consistent within your department and within the course. Like if you have 4 ATs, they should look roughly the same. The rubrics. Don't use holistic for AT1 and the analytic for AT2. Just use the same style. It should be fine. So these about the course outline template. And after that is the procedure issues. If you are thinking of submitting a new course to the QAC, or you have to revamp your program, or you have to change your courses, please refer to the QA manual about a few things. Well, it's another big manual. So when you look at it, you can skip to the chapter 5. In chapter 5, there are procedures, guidelines about what to do if you want to propose changes or new courses. There are some changes that need approval from the AB, from the academic board, that they are program level changes, say program revamp, or you want to establish a new minor program, or you want to change the structure of the minor program, or you want to introduce core courses, new core courses in, say, year 3 of your program. These are structural proposals that need to go through AB. And under that is a minor changes to the program or the courses, they can be approved by QAC. And under that, even more minor changes can be approved by the department. So you can check the QA manual and see if what you're thinking need to come to us. It could be resolved in the departmental level if it's a minor changes. So we are going to look at the QA manual. This is chapter 5, and under it we have listed 3 level of changes. The first, like biggest level, highest level is your changes have to go through AB. So you'll submit to us first, to QAC first, and on the recommendation of QAC, we will submit your proposal to the AB that it will be approved on the university level. So these kind of changes are usually big changes. A program revamp, a program restructure. You have to change the name of your department or the program, or you have to change a few core courses in a year, etc. So these kind of program structural level changes will have to go through AB. If you are thinking something like this, please consult us before you go to any places. It will be the safest way to go. So most relevant to us are changes that can be approved by QAC or department. I'll start with the department. There are some small changes that don't need to apply to QAC from, I think it's from a few years ago. For example, if you want to change the teaching topic of your course less than 50%. Well, the 50% now count on the indicative version, on the topics and subtopics. So less than 50% of the topics or the subtopics of changes, it could be approved by your department. So this refers to your internal guidelines of the department. There should be some kind of internal mechanism within department. Say, for example, who you should ask if you want to update your teaching topics. Or there may be a timing, say, for example, during the summer where you can update your own courses. Anyway, either way, less than 50% of changes to the teaching topic don't need to come to us. You just have to update it and then notify your department. Please notify your department. And because they have to note these changes on their APR. If you change, say, 30% of your courses, these changes can be approved by your department head or the QA representative, depending, and they have to record these changes in their annual program review report every year. So you must notify them, but you don't have to come to us. So these are teaching content less than 50%. And also, if you want to change less than 50% of TLAs, like the teaching and learning class activities, or less than 50% of ATs, unless your changes involved examination. For example, originally you have an exam. Now I don't want it. If you want to cancel out the exam, you must come to QAC. If you want to change the mode of the examination, originally it was open book, now I want closed book, you must come to QAC. Or the other way around. If you don't have exam, you would like an exam now, please come to QAC. So if your changes do not involve examination, for example, it doesn't have exam in the first place, it is 100% continuous assessment, and I want to change 1 or 2 ATs. So if the variation is less than 50%, that does not involve examination. It could be approved by the department too. So for example, I originally have a reflection report. Now that I'm afraid of the AI issues, I cancel it and change to something else. These kind of changes can be approved in the departmental level and you don't have to apply to us. And there are other changes that doesn't need to apply to anyone at all. Say, for example, you have to update your readings every year, or you have to update the other supplementary reference list, etc. You don't have to apply to us. So is it okay with everyone? Yeah. So any changes beyond this, you need to come to us. Say, for example, any information on the first page. The first page across the line. Here, anything you have to change from silos to the first line, anything here, you need to come to us. Say, for example, the course title, of course, you have to come to us. And then maybe you want to change silos or some wordings in the course aims. Say, for example, you send the course line to your EE, and then they suggest some changes to the course aim or the silos. You have to apply to us. So if you don't want them to do that, ask them don't to do that. Okay, any changes to the silos will have to come to us. So these are changes that must be approved by QAC. Any information on the first page and the silos and the course aims and anything about the examination, or you have to make drastic changes to your course. If you are not sure whether or not you need to apply for it, ask us. We will explain it to you. So these are changes you have to go through QAC. I think so. So most program in Xi'an have PA status, so you can just apply to QAC. For I think only ADS is not with a PA status. Only 1 or 2 program is not with AA status right now. If so, they will need to go to VQ for most of the changes, which is another level of problem. We will not go into details now. So for most of us, most changes will have to be approved by QAC or the department. So these are the guidelines you can consult when you are thinking of changes anytime. And the last thing I want to highlight is about AI issues. Well, since the age of AI last year, we have been like grading a lot of things that are not written by our students. Even in the Department of Chinese, like the AI technology might not be that mature in Chinese, but they still try to submit things that is generated by ChatGPT or Baidu, etc. So these are issues we have to bear in mind. If you want to design a new course or you want to make changes to your courses, please make sure you adapt to the age of AI, the ATs. There are approximately 2 ways to go. The first way is to prevent them from using AI, which is very difficult. They will use AI no matter how hard you prohibit them to do so. So if their assignments are completed at home, you can assume they will use AI. So if you don't want them to use AI in any degree, just use in-class assignment. They have to do it here with pen and paper. Then they can generate in AI. So that's one way to go, but it will be very difficult and it is not suitable for all courses. So the second way to go is to adapt to AI. You may, for example, integrate some AI elements in your course. I will teach students to use AI to check for literature review, to say, for example, to correct my grammar, etc. You can teach them to use AI effectively and most of all, ethically. They can use AI, but they should use it like in an honest way. So you can teach them how to effectively and ethically use AI in your course. Inside the teaching component, and then you can also integrate AI in your AT design. Say, for example, you can ask students to generate something from the AI, and then they can reflect on or criticize what the AI had generated to us. It could contain false information. It could contain like wrong viewpoints, etc. So you can also train students to criticize what the AI had generated for them. It's just a few examples. So either way, when you design your course, or after 2 years of AI, you had enough of AI generated assignment and you want to change the assignment of your current courses, you should also take these issues into consideration, as in what kind of ATs could best help our students. As in, we couldn't keep them away from AI, but we should teach them to use AI effectively and ethically. So that's an issue I think everyone in every institutions around the world is thinking. There is no best answer right now because we're still very new to AI. And I think we still have a very long way to go to explore like a better integration of AI and our AT. So for now, I can only remind everyone to keep these elements in mind. When you design ATs, make sure that it is not something student can simply generate from ChatGPT. For example, before we might ask them to do a summary of literature review. It could be generated in a second, so we can't do that anymore. If you ask them to do a reflection essay or a term paper at home, you can assume they will use AI. So you should take that element into mind too. So that's about the last thing I want to say today. That's all for my workshop on course outline. Any question about writing a course outline? Or if you have any demands, like you have to submit proposal to QAC in the near future, you can ask us. I can tailor-made an explanation for you. Any burning questions from our colleagues? If no, great. We finish it under 45 minutes, so we can all go. We can leave earlier. So thank you for attending ATLC workshop. Please keep an eye out on our future ATLC workshop. We have a lot of more interesting thing than today coming up next month and in April. So you can attend to other ATLC workshop too. So thank you. Thank you for coming.